Hi guys, welcome to Recruiting Office Hours. I'm Susan Levine and I'm the CEO of Career Group Companies.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily Levine and I'm the EVP of Career Group Companies. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about how to know if you're getting fired from your job.
That could be a very scary topic.
Yes, it can be. So recently we've been getting a lot of questions. The fans want to know, how do you know if you are going to get let go of your job?
I don't think you absolutely know, but I think there are some indicators.
Some early signs?
I think so. I think number one, usually there's some awkwardness between you and your manager. Mm-hmm. I also think the more intuitive you are, the more you're going to feel like there's some bad news coming your way. Maybe a lack of communication, where it was there and it was flowing, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're being avoided.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that usually the person's right if they're sensing that there's awkwardness or shift or something going on?
I think that there's certainly a conversation to be had.
Right.
And I would want to be the one initiating it as the employee, quite frankly.
Right.
I would not want to wait for my manager or boss to come to me. I would probably want to show a level of interest where I am concerned, and do I need to be concerned?
Right. And I think just the anxiety alone would probably kill someone if they had to go to work every single day and interact with their boss just not knowing what's going on.
The waiting game.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
And one thing I'll just say to you is that if your boss stops talking to you, or when they are speaking to you, they're having to constantly counsel you on your work, mm-hmm. I think your intuition is probably right.
Right. I think if there's awkward behavior combined with a lot of recent mistakes, the hunch might be correct. And so I think the best thing to do would probably be go and have a conversation and try to find out where you stand. I think that's key. Okay, so on the flip side, what do you think people can like overreact to? You know, for example, if your boss is in a bad mood, like, is it safe to say that it's because of you or?
Yeah. So I think that when there are a string of things that have gone wrong, mm-hmm. and your boss has communicated to you their disappointment in the way you've handled situations, mm-hmm. or you're not available when they need to talk to you, or the attention to detail is not what it once was or needs to be. I think if you have to be counseled a lot and all of a sudden there's several times where they're approaching you and they're sharing their disappointment, if I were that employee, I know I would be nervous mm-hmm. for my job. But again, I would say, I know I've made mistakes lately. Like, is my job safe though?
Right. At what point, if you were in that situation, at what point would you start to look for a job?
Well, I would have to be unhappy.
Right.
To look for a job, okay? Because if I love where I work and I'm just really nervous that I'm not doing a good enough job for my boss, I don't think I would start to look for a job at that point. I think my first, the first point I would do is to meet with that boss and say, is my job safe? If I felt that they weren't being straight with me, or I heard from other people in the office that there was a vibe mm-hmm. that I should probably start looking, I would start quietly my job search. But I would also go to HR, mm-hmm. not just my boss. Okay.
And if you don't have the kind of relationship with your boss, would you start to put feelers out there if you felt like, oh no, I've been messing up a lot lately, and your boss started acting weird? Is that a good time to start to put together your resume, in your opinion?
Yes. And especially the part where your boss is acting different than he or she normally would.
Okay. I agree. I agree.
What do you think causes insecurities or panic with an employee, with their boss? I mean, what would make somebody nervous?
Sure. I think, great question. I think what can happen is if the employee usually has a good read on their boss and all of a sudden they seem distracted, if they seem a little bit ambivalent or cold, I think that can be, a telltale sign. I also think that if you see private or blocked out spaces on their calendar
I was just going to say
that didn't used to be there,
Yep.
that could be indication that they're interviewing. But I think that, oftentimes, on the flip side of that question is it could just be that your boss is in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Like they're people too, as you always say, and they could just be having an off day, something with their family, something with, their son's school. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And so don't always go to the worst place.
I'm so outspoken as a person that I would probably ask my boss if I could have 5 minutes on his calendar.
Right.
And would go in and sit down and say, should I be looking for another job?
Right.
I will leave you in a good place if the answer is yes.
But yeah, let's take care of each other.
Right.
I'll give you notice. You can let me know that I should be looking elsewhere. Just so
I'm
that
just
you don't
sensing
get hit with the surprise.
Exactly.
I'm sensing that, it might not be the best fit. I've realized I've made mistakes lately. I'm certainly doing everything I can to make sure it doesn't happen again. But sometimes it's just not a fit.
Right.
So I think it's important to address that.
I think so too.
But not everyone's comfortable doing it. And so I think there comes a point in which you have to realize, okay, it's time to update the resume. It's time to start looking.
Usually comes down to trust. When I think about people where we've said, go tell your boss that you're not happy and here's why, or your boss goes to you and shares that kind of feedback, I think people innately are insecure and they're afraid that the other person's not going to take care of them.
Right.
And so I like the transparency of saying, I would never leave you high and dry. And I hope that if it ever gets to the point where you don't think I'm the right person for you.
So we could kind of take care of each other with the timing.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's important too. At what point does a change in scope or workload become something to pay attention to? I guess I can answer my own question.
Of course.
Okay. I think that if you're accustomed to being delegated a certain amount of work, and all of a sudden you're sensing a shift in those assignments going to somebody else with no explanation, coupled with recent mistakes or, a shift in your boss's personality towards you, that can be a telltale sign that a potential change could be coming.
I think your boss has lost confidence in you.
Right.
I think that if your boss has hired you to be his right arm, and all of a sudden other people are getting that work, that is in fact a statement, an action of, I don't feel you're up for this job, and
Right.
I don't feel like you're capable, and you've made mistakes. I'm insecure. I'm going to have to give it away to somebody that won't make those mistakes.
What do you do if your boss hasn't been weird towards you lately, you haven't been making mistakes, but all of a sudden the responsibilities that you once owned are being stripped and delegated to someone else?
I would say, is there a reason that my workload is basically decreasing? I mean, you used to load me up with all this work and all these projects, and now a lot of the work that I was doing that I really loved and it kept me challenged and busy, I notice you're handing it off to other people. Is it because you're getting ready to give me new projects, or did I let you down in some way?
Right. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think it shows your boss also like you want the feedback and you can handle it.
exactly.
Okay, great. So how do you start to explore the market without raising flags in your office to your boss, your colleagues? Like, how do you go about that quietly?
That I was just going to say, that quiet search.
Yep.
Where you have an interest in perusing the market and, well, be very careful, number one. Be discreet. I certainly would make sure that your LinkedIn does not say available for work.
Right.
And I would quietly put my feelers out to people that I trust and let them know that there is a possibility, not a fact, that I might want to start looking in the near future for a new role. What does the market look like as far as they're concerned? Does their current company have any openings? Have they heard through other people in my position that those companies are looking to hire people? But I would be very discreet, because you'd be surprised how many people internally can get wind of that.
I also think it's really important that if you're looking for a new job, even though you have work besties, I think it's really important to just keep everything to yourself, because if
Gossip spreads.
Gossip spreads unintentionally too.
Yeah.
Like, even if there's someone at work that you really trust, I think word can get out. So in terms of being discreet, use your personal email. Never use...
Oh, that's good. Gmail.
Yeah. I think even if you're applying for new jobs, it's really important that you think about confidential job postings. It could be the company that you work for, so be really, really careful about where you're sending your resume to. I also would probably remove the company name that you work at, and maybe put first name and your middle name, or first name, last initial. Depends how confidential your search is, because word can travel fast. So I think it's important to be as private as possible.
You know, something I'd like to piggyback on that is, I think somebody's personality and psyche changes when they've made a decision that they're going to quietly start to look. I think their own vibe in that company changes a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I think you need to be prepared how you want to handle a conversation if you're approached, regardless of how discreet you're being. If HR, your manager, they sense something from you, your unhappiness or dissatisfaction, be prepared for the question, are you looking for a job?
Right. Well, exactly. I think people can give off the aura that they're checked out. So,
But are you going to say no when in fact you are, and maybe they know for a fact that you are looking?
Right.
Or are you going to say, funny that you should bring that up, I'm not actively looking, but I was putting out some feelers because I was getting a vibe from you that you weren't happy with me.
Right. Well, I think it goes back to that transparency of having that conversation, and sort of checking yourself and your place within the company.
Yeah.
And if
people do leave. I mean,
right.
You know, I want to send a message that people have every right to be looking for a new role.
Of course.
Where they feel that they're going to have a better future and path for themselves.
Well, that's what our company's all about too, you know, is making sure that we internally provide as much opportunity for somebody to grow and flourish here. But, you know, we're in the placement business.
Yeah.
And so people leave their jobs all the time. But I would only want somebody to leave for something that is worth it to them.
And I would be hurt personally if somebody was leaving and I never saw it coming, and they felt like they couldn't come to me.
Right. Or that they couldn't, maybe there's a scenario in which they actually couldn't achieve what they wanted to achieve at this company because they want to pivot to a completely different industry, or they, you know, want to go on sabbatical. And, you know, so it just, I think...
Scale back.
Right, exactly. What do you think a smart, proactive search actually looks like? Take the confidentiality piece off the table. So you've made it known that you are looking for a job, you are recently laid off.
Okay.
What would a smart, proactive search look like?
First thing I would do is find a great recruiter.
Okay.
Because recruiters today kind of hold the keys to the kingdom. We have all the jobs out there for the most part in all different industries. And, you know, rather than looking on LinkedIn or a job board on your own, there's not enough time in a day to reply to 300 jobs. I would find a really good recruiter and I would build that rapport. I would be really honest and open with them about everything that I wanted and what was important to me. And I would also keep in mind that once you give them that information, they're representing you and they're going to go out there and they're going to do their best to find you that perfect job. So I would have an incredible resume. I would make sure that it was formatted really nicely. It's the first thing that a company is going to be looking at. No typos. I don't think you need to have a resume with multiple pages, very clean and concise. And I would highlight your strengths in every role that you've had. I would then start with a recruiter. I would make my own personal list of companies that I'm really passionate about, that I want to work at. Your resume is going to get lost by just sending a cover letter and your resume to a company. So I would network. I would figure out all my friends, where do they work? Are they at companies that I would love to be at? And I would ask them if there's anything there for me. And I would be a great networker. And I think that some of the best placements we make are from finding candidates as referrals and networking. And when we lose out to a company, it's usually because somebody was referred to them internally.
Right. I think that's great. When I think about a smart proactive search, I think of exactly what you mentioned. I also think that at that stage, if you're unemployed, it's very important to say you're open to new opportunities on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think making sure that you also have a LinkedIn photo that's professional.
Right.
Is everything. That's a first impression when somebody comes to your profile.
And wipe your social media.
Totally. Go to private. You don't want your future employer digging deep and seeing pictures of you
on
at
the
the
weekends.
beach. Or I think it's really important, just maintain the professionalism, sort of be anonymous on the internet.
Yep.
I think that's key. So that's a great call. I think in today's digital age, I think write your own resume, but you can use AI to enhance it or to make sure that the Boolean search terms are really at the top of your resume.
Have your own voice.
Have your own voice.
Yeah.
I think you should write it, but there's no excuse today. You can use AI to make sure that your resume is 100% formatted in a beautiful way, that it's correct, that the tenses are right. And I would use AI, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or any
Just to
any
make sure it's
program,
perfect.
to make sure it's perfect, but also it can really take your resume, compare it to a job that you're applying for, and make sure that the keywords match,
Yeah.
so that it gets picked up in the algorithm.
Yeah.
You just want to be 100% accurate and correct with everything that you've accomplished on your resume.
I agree.
So I think the social media aspect is huge, just making sure that your footprint is as anonymous as possible.
And be reliable. You said, the smart job search. Show up on time.
Be responsive.
Do your best. Do your homework on the clients that you are applying for. Really know what they do. Also know some of the accomplishments that those firms have had recently. I mean, I would want to be that standout candidate. You have to realize that they're looking maybe at 500 resumes, or maybe they're interviewing 5 people. How do you become the strongest person? It's not always the best resume.
Right.
It's the person. It's the person who is relatable. It's the chemistry. It's somebody authentic, and someone that did their homework on the firm, and where that client feels they're really going to work hard here and get along with everybody.
Yep. And then back to being let go. If you are let go unexpectedly in your job, what should your first move be?
A box of Kleenex.
Okay.
Immediate one, I would want to know why.
Right.
I think that asking for the feedback is critical, because I would want to learn from that. Obviously, I would probably be devastated unless I couldn't stand my job.
Right.
I would want to know that my current employer is going to take care of me and give me some form of severance to give me a little bit of peace of mind. I would put
And that cushion, right?
Yeah.
But in between jobs.
I want to land on my feet.
Right.
And I think most people do that today. I would be really professional and polite. I would not be angry and defensive. Again, I would want to know why. And if I liked where I was working, I would ask, is there anything I can do at all to redeem myself, to keep my role? I think it's probably going to be a hard no, but I still would say, this is the first time I've received this kind of feedback. I'm open to change if you give me a second chance. But if it just is, it's not the right fit for us here, then I would put a really good resume together. I would get advice on that resume, and I would get out there as quickly as possible. And depending on how long you've been at that company, a lot of people are rusty at the interview process. That's where I feel it's really nice to have a recruiter advocate for you, because we counsel people and we know they're nervous. And especially if you've been let go, you are super vulnerable and insecure. It's a very hard thing.
Well, it's rejection. And for a lot of people, they're the breadwinner of the family, or, the only source of income for their family or for themselves. And it's scary.
How do you interview with confidence if you just got fired?
Right. Well, I think you have to wrap your head around the fact that not enough people say this or realize this, but people get fired. You're not the only person that lost their job involuntarily.
Correct.
And so I think that is something that one of our colleagues always says is, people get fired. It's okay. It sucks. It's truly like the feeling is a low, but you will bounce back from this. But I think it's also okay to, first of all, I think you need to tell your recruiter what happened.
Yeah.
And be honest. And they can help you describe what your strengths are, and they will be your advocate, and they will explain to the client what happened.
Yep. I recently had somebody who I really believe in, who had been at their prior firm for 6.5 years. They chose to leave there, and they went to work for someone, and after 4 months, they were fired. They don't even know the real reason. I know who the client is, and the client does fire for usually no good reason, but it really took the wind out of this person's sail. And I think one of the things that I'm the best at, and we're the best at here, is empathy and trying to instill in people, you're a winner, you're amazing. We have the best clients. I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to tell the client before they even meet you what happened, but it's okay that you were let go.
Right.
And clients know that really good people can be let go, and it wasn't a good culture fit.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you're not a placement at 5 other companies.
Right. Or people make mistakes.
Yeah.
Some of the most refreshing interviews that I've had with candidates are when they come to me in their most vulnerable time and they let me know, I got fired, I got terminated, I got let go. And I ask what happened, and they say, I made a big mistake on a project.
Yeah.
And they let me go. And I think that's refreshingly honest.
Yeah.
And it's human. People make mistakes.
Correct.
In most places, you will get a second chance.
Definitely.
But it doesn't mean that your career's over because you admitted that you got fired. So I think that's really important. Do you think that when somebody gets fired, do you think that decision is typically just about performance, or are there other factors?
I think there's usually other factors. Because I think if you're a culture fit and everybody in that firm really, really likes you, I think you're going to be counseled several times about your performance before somebody's going to let you go. Basically, what I'm saying is that firm's really invested in you as a human being, and it's going to be really hard for them to let you go because they feel like that firm isn't going to be the same with you not there. They're going to fight to keep you there and do everything they can to counsel you. Sometimes it's everything.
Right.
Sometimes your performance is off, you're combative, you're not a team player, you stir the pot, you're gone all the time. It can be a lot of different things, but people fight for you if they want you to be in the firm.
Totally. And I think oftentimes it also comes down to ROI, right? Like a business is a business.
Yeah.
And if your salary is high and you're not producing the revenue or the outcome that you need to produce, sometimes you can like that person so much or they can be such a good culture fit, but at the end of the day, it's a business and you have to make that hard decision.
I agree.
And what do companies, in your opinion, really wish that employees understood a little bit more about that process of having to let someone go?
That it's hard. It's not easy to let somebody go.
Right.
It's very uncomfortable. I think that a company with a heart and empathy almost dreads having to let someone go because they know that changes the direction of your life. It's not just you're out of a job, it's that they know the impact that it's going to have on somebody when they wake up tomorrow morning and they're not going into your office.
Right.
I mean,
Totally.
I would hate that.
Right. And I think I would want people to know that if you're let go from your job, it's usually not a casual decision. So a lot of thought went into it, a lot of planning.
It was a long time coming.
It was a long time coming. I would hope that that's the case for someone versus just sort of like a surprise. I think you should never be surprised that you're let go. I think that's
Never.
terrible. I think that's terrible. And then Susan's rule of thumb has always been never to let somebody go on a Friday because they can't then look for a job over the weekend, and that's really hard. You want people to feel like they can be productive the next day and at least
That is my philosophy. So if you want to know why I don't want to let somebody go on a Friday, they can't look for a job over the weekend.
Right.
So they are just spending Friday, Saturday, and Sunday panicking and can't change anything.
Right.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right. Totally.
I'm the empathetic terminator.
Totally. I think it's your least favorite thing to do.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of things today, but what we didn't talk about is what can you do when one of your favorite people in the company resigns and you actually didn't see it coming and they told you they got a life-changing opportunity, but you feel you can create or enhance a role for them where you're going to fight for them. And we talked earlier about they already know that they weren't special enough for you to do that without them resigning first. But I would practically do anything to retain my best people and really not want to let somebody go easily because it's hard to find really good people out there.
Totally. I think it's really rare that managers in our company are blindsided, though. I think it's very rare that
It
would
is.
happen. And so...
But I can't go down easily.
No, of course. And I think it's important to try to fight for the people that matter most to you and really sort of understand what went into this decision and why. And I think...
And be happy for that person.
I was just going to say, part of what is so important is letting that person go if you truly know that where they're going is better for their career.
Yeah.
Or it's a pivot for them that matters, makes all the difference for them and their family.
And they can take us there as a recruiter.
Exactly. There you go. So in today's episode, we talked a lot about what to do if you think that you're going to be let go or fired. And so we hope that this was helpful. Feel free to reach out to me or to Susan or, drop a comment here on LinkedIn and let us know if you have any questions, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you for joining Recruiting Office Hours.
So thank you from me as well. And the only other thing I would add is we're here as a support team for you. And we know that it can be really tough and hard to handle when you've been let go, but I'm the ultimate optimist and I always feel there's probably something better for you out there anyway. So try and stay positive. And thank you for joining us.